Is it on there?
It was here.
I think you showed it to me one time.
Well, now this one was from shrapnel. Here it is.
Yeah.
It's still a little bit. It came all the way through.
And that was from a grenade that.
No, that was from a carbine. Luckily, it had gone through a wall.
A car bomb.
A carbine.
What's that?
It's a huge gun, a huge rifle, a carbine, and it went through a wall before it went through my arm, and that slowed it down and kept it from ripping off my arm. If it hadn't been for that, it'd have ripped off my arm.
So who was shooting? The Nazis?
No, that's a kind of a long story. I have an aunt in Germany that had a distillery, and her husband had been drafted in the war. So during the war, she had prisoners working for her, and these were French prisoners, nice guys, and they would walk from the prison camp to the job and back to the prison camp on their own.
Mm-hmm.
Once in a while, the guard would come and accompany them back, and the guard had come and went into my aunt's house. We were visiting with her. She had a sitting room there where the shop was, and we were in that sitting room, and she asked me, and the guard had come and he leaned his weapon in a corner, and I had a cousin my age. He got nosy. But anyway, my aunt asked me to go to the distillery in the back and bring the test glasses where they test the strength of the liquor to be washed. And it was dark, and they were having an air raid in one part in Stuttgart itself, but we were away from the city. And so I came on up front, and I couldn't find the light switch for the room where the glasses were. And I came up front and reached up. I called my aunt through the door and said, I can't find it, blah, blah. Reached up to open the door, and when I did, I thought I touched an electric wire. That's what it felt like. It felt just like if you're in a strong electric shock. Mm-hmm. And I heard my daddy holler, you killed my baby. And I still didn't know what was going on. The door flew open. The French prisoner came running, grabbed the blanket and grabbed me and went running to the doctor because blood was spurting with every heartbeat.
Wow.
Here's where it was.
So what?
Yeah. And he took me to a country doctor.
Uh-huh.
Doctors had all been drafted. There were very few available.
Yeah.
And he cleaned it up. He took a brush with iodine in it, ran it through the hole to clean it out, and then put the bandage on it. And the prisoner stayed with me the whole time and took me back to my aunt's house. And then he went to the prison camp.
So who shot it? Who shot your cousin?
What happened, my cousin took the rifle, said, I want to take the carbine. I want to look at it, Yes, you're a young boy. And my dad, I remember I hear my daddy say, go put that back. I didn't know what they were talking about, though. And the guard said, it's okay, it's not loaded. But it was. And then it went right on through a thick brick wall, and that's what saved my arm. But that was one of the things. And then another time, when the bombs exploded, got shrapnels. I got one time we thought it was from an airplane machine gun fire. A bad cut on the elbow here, real wide open. And they said it was shrapnel, it was possibly shrapnel, it was possibly from machine gun fire, from the fighter planes, And what was something else that was kind of interesting? Oh, I had gone to the bakery to pick up some bread on my bicycle, and the air raid sounded, and I dropped my bike, went in the house of a friend of ours to go in the basement. And we all went in the basement, except her husband. He worked for the railroad, and he was sleeping on the couch in the living room. We all went in the basement, and next thing you know, everything went dark and dusty, and what had happened, a bomb had been dropped. The dust came from all the debris, and the ceiling was kind of hanging, you know. But the funny thing was, we laughed about it afterwards, they had barrels of apple cider, fermented apple cider, in the basement. That was a number one drink in the area where I lived. And they busted. And when they did, it all poured out in this area where we were. And we had to get on bench. There was a bench in there. We had to stand on the bench to keep from being, we were way up to here in apple cider. So it was kind of funny in a way. But those are the kind of things that could happen. You never knew, you know. And then another time, we had all slept upstairs, and when the air raids would come, my dad had installed a bell that he pushed a button, and when the bell go up, we knew to jump up, jump in our gym suit, and that's all, and get out the house. Well, we didn't know. He normally would make the rounds to check the house in the attic to see if there's anything in the attic, because they had bombs that would, it was phosphor. When they hit, the phosphor would run and it would burn. And so Daddy always checked that to make sure. And if you found one of them, they were about this long and they were the shape of a pencil. And if they didn't hit on the right spot, they didn't ignite. So Daddy always looked to see if there were any of them, not realizing there was a huge dirt bomb in the garden that didn't go off. And there it was all night long, and we had been in bed sleeping, and it was ticking away.
Wow.
And what happened, it never did go off. But they brought people in to, you know, take care of it. But it was a huge bomb. If it went off, it'd have blown us all away from. You know. Those are things that afterwards we laugh about it.
So do you think that you can find humor because you just got acclimated to it? It's like something you get used to.
You get used to it.
All the elements of war.
Yeah, you get used to it. We see it sometime here. We see in the pictures the little children. Ours wasn't quite that bad because we had our parents. But you're out there on the street and you go about your life. And if you see somebody that you knew, you were glad to see them. And if they tell you something that happened to them, which technically was serious, but afterwards funny.
It's just a way of life, maybe?
Yes. You accept it. Just like I told you before, it will teach you to accept you're only here for a short time. Mm-hmm. Life is precious. Be kind to everybody. It teaches you to share. If you don't have it and somebody else has, they share with you. It teaches you to share. And it gets you to the point my husband used to say, he said, you'd give away the last penny if you could. Mm-hmm. Because I was taught to do that. Mm-hmm. And he'll teach you to understand if a person is in a gutter and wants to get out of it to improve their life, he'll teach you to help them, but don't kick them back. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So, excuse me.
No, you're fine. I'll stop this. You can answer it if you want.
No. I'll never get her off the phone.
Is that your daughter?
No, it's my millionaire friend.
Oh, the one with the camper? The
RV? 2 campers. She just bought a $50,000 vehicle. Okay.
Cash? Oh, well.
Our lawyer told her she had to get rid of some money.
I mean,
I can't keep up with her.
so
anyway,
I'm
telling you that you ask yourself, we didn't have doctors like we should, or dentists, or anything, you know. You learn to do without, and it's amazing how you can manage. And sometimes, even now, I sit back and I say, well, how did I do it? I pitch a fit if I don't get something. You know?
Mm-hmm.
And I say, wait a minute. I didn't always have this. And I lived good without it.
Mm-hmm.
It'll teach you to do things that you probably would never dream of.
So you left when you were 16.
Yes. Okay, it says, how far did my parents get in school?
Yeah, let's talk about your parents.
Okay. They both came from farms, farmer people.
Okay.
My dad, I never knew my granddad on his side except his mother. I knew his mother. His daddy had, World War One?
Mm-hmm.
Got missing in World War One, and there was the brother of his mother with her on the farm. My dad had one brother, and they all, the four of them, the brothers, the mother, and the uncle ran the farm.
Okay.
Okay? And, pretty large place, and they were doing real good. But even those people during the war, their stuff, everything was rationed. They would go to the fields of these farmers and guess how much wheat they're gonna get from it. How many pounds of wheat they're gonna have. They would guess, you got a dozen chickens, you should at least be able to give us 11 eggs. You got a cow with X amount of gallons of milk, we get it. Every day everything was controlled. You could not slaughter your own pig.
And who was in charge?
This was Hitler's doings.
Did he pay you for the products?
Well, they paid for the products, but nothing to get you rich. You know, the main thing was everything was rationed. You couldn't get nothing.
But they made them trade. They made them
turn it in. Every bit of it.
And if you didn't have 11 eggs, then
that was tough luck.
Yeah.
Then you better cross your fingers and hope tomorrow you'll have that much. They would take or give a little, but not a whole lot. Milk had to be all turned in.
Where did all this stuff go to? The soldiers that were fighting,
okay.
Or did it go to?
It went in for central distribution. Now remember, we had cities where people didn't raise eggs, chickens with eggs and stuff. So all of that had to be used.
So they probably turned a profit. You think? Like they?
Oh, I'm pretty sure.
They probably sold.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
And made money as well to support the war.
Like my aunt had a distillery, and my dad knew how. And it had a counter on there that tells you how many gallons are running off.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and my dad knew how to stop the counter. Because if you had schnapps, they call it.
I love schnapps.
If you had that, you could get just about anything. Not money-wise, but merchandise-wise.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my aunt could help us have a few bottles of that. He didn't do too much of it because you had to be cautious.
Yeah.
He would go in and amazingly, a copper penny could stop the counter. Daddy knew how to stop it. And they would run maybe 1 or 2 bottles off during the night.
Keep for themselves?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And they used that. And if the farmer needed, once the Americans came in, they loved to get drunk. So, once the Americans came in, my dad could trade some of the liquor for tires to put on the tractor.
Okay.
Even canisters of gasoline, because we couldn't get nothing. When I was 14 for graduation, confirmation is what it is the Lutherans have. Everybody was wearing navy blue or black dresses for the service, you know. He was able to get the fabric by getting a bottle of booze, get somebody to make it for me, plus get shoes to go with it. There was a big shoe factory in my area of the town, and if you had something to drink, you could always get a pair of shoes. And so a lot of times, we couldn't afford to give new shoes away because it might be suspicious. So if Daddy was able to get a pair of shoes, we'd have to wear them for a while, and then he'd trade them off. And that way nobody knew where we got them from. You couldn't tell nothing.
Really?
Yeah, you couldn't tell nothing.
Wow.
So those are things, John, that it can really mold you.
Oh,
it can make you. And so when I have a crisis in life today, I don't panic it. I say, now what would my mama or daddy do? Mama came from a farm, a big farm place, but both her parents died young.
What was your mom's name?
Rosa Zeiser, Z-A-I. A-I-S-E-R. Zeiser. She came from a fairly good farm. Most of them had nice big farms. They take good care of their farms. And her parents both died when she was young. So she was raised by, well, we called her our great aunt. She was raised by her aunt. And she didn't have it easy when she was young. She didn't have it easy. She had to work very hard. It was expected of her. You do it or you go to an orphanage, you know, that kind of threat.
How many kids,
in my family,
did you have?
I had 2 sisters and 1 brother. They're all deceased.
Did they get to come to America?
No, I had, well, 1 sister, yes, she was in America for a short time. She died in Richmond, Virginia. At first she came to Canada, and I had 1 sister that lived in Nova Scotia. And her daughter lives in Alberta, province Alberta, in the Canadian Rockies. And that is gorgeous country. Beautiful country. So I've had the privilege of seeing Canada from the east all the way to the west. And my husband and I like to travel, so we used to do extensive traveling all over the United States. I've been to more places than some people can dream of.
That's awesome.
It is. It's something that I appreciate.
Yeah.
And the best way.
Good memories.
The best way to study about a country, lay the books aside and get out with the people. And don't go to the cities. They're all alike. Go to the villages. We used to make it a habit to always stop. We'd go to the New England states. We'd stop in, one time in a commune, where these people had gotten together and they had a restaurant. They grew all their food and processed it. And that's where we stopped. We always stopped in places that can be interesting. And we did the same thing, like going to Canada. We would stop in some of the darndest off-the-road places you ever. Where we had to ask later on how to get back on the main highway. So it's been wonderful. It's been wonderful.
So 2 sisters
but
and a brother, and
yeah,
they all are not with us anymore.
no, they're all gone. And my mother lived to be 89.
Wow.
She later I had brought her to America with me. She
Okay.
lived with me, and she never did learn to speak English. And I think it was because she didn't want to. She understood. Oh yeah, she understood. But she never made the effort. I think she was embarrassed at her age to try to speak another language. I really think that's what it was.
Well, you know, it is difficult as we get older to try to learn a language. I know when you're younger,
it's
you can
easier.
pick it up easier.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
My son, like I said, I had married my husband.
Mm-hmm.
We were privileged to be stationed in Germany. They shipped him over. I went with him.
Oh, okay.
My daughter was born in Germany. My son was born here in the States.
So Petra?
Petra?
Is
was
it Petra?
Born, Petra. P-E-T-R-A. R-A.
Oh, R-A. Petra.
She was born in Germany.
Okay.
In Regensburg. And my son was born here in Wilmington.
Oh, yeah?
Mm-hmm. 1954.
So, oh wow, you have a lot of history here in Wilmington.
Oh yeah,
too.
yeah.
I didn't know.
I came to Wilmington when, if you said you had ballet training, they thought you were a balloon dancer. You know, they didn't know what classical ballet was. I'm serious.
Here in Wilmington?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sure. Okay, so your son, what's his name?
George Jr.
And he was born in Wilmington. Okay. In 1955, is that?
He was born in 54.
Okay. So when did you move to Wilmington?
53.
All right.
That's when South College was a dirt road over where I lived.
Uh-huh.
Used to be a dirt road.
Wow.
Carolina Beach Road was just 2 lanes. Every year during the beach season, you would, as I went along and kept up with everything, even though I wasn't living here all the time, I was getting the paper and it would tell you how they get killed on that road, traffic-wise and all. It was just, you know, and there was a monkey junction. There really were monkeys down there.
Really? Is that why they called it Monkey Junction?
Yes, yes. There was a little country store.
Uh-huh.
You know those little lean-to country stores?
Yeah.
And he had built a cage out front and it had monkeys in it. You didn't know that?
I always wondered why they called it Monkey Junction.
That's what it is. And I tell you where to the best of my recollection, roughly the way I try to remember, the way the road went and everything, I think it was right there in the area where it used to be Alfred Seafood. Now it is Midas. Is there a Midas shop there?
Okay. Yeah.
In that area right there is where it was. I remember that.
That's funny.
I remember that.
So what happened to your father?
My father got killed. He was riding his bicycle, got hit by an American truck.
A drunk?
Truck, American military truck.
Oh, a truck.
And the guy that was driving was drunk.
Oh, no.
I couldn't do nothing about it. Because they used to get by with just about murder.
So,
the American military.
When did that happen? Were you here in Augusta?
I was in Augusta, Georgia. And I got the news. And it was devastating.
How old was he?
Daddy was 47 or 48.
I'm 47.
See that?
That's young.
You are 47? Wow. I didn't know that. But anyway, it was bad. It was really bad. It was before I got married. I think if it hadn't been for that, I might not marry George when I did.
You think that made you
I think it
rush
made
into
me,
it?
Well, I didn't rush into it, no. It prepared me earlier to settle down. I mean, I was having a good time, Jan.
You were 19 or 20 when you got married? That's pretty, like, for the time.
I thought, yeah, that was reasonable.
That was
reasonable,
a little
really.
later than most.
Yeah.
My mom.
Yeah. A lot of them used to get married at, 14, 16, God knows.
My mom and dad got married in 61 and she was 15.
Yeah, yeah.
And he was 18.
Mm-hmm. They used to get married real young. A lot of people couldn't understand why I wasn't married for a long time, you know. But I was having a good time. I said, I don't need it.
Wow, that keeps closing. Now George was your husband? Was it your first love? Like the first time you ever?
No, I dated a German boy.
Back home, back in Germany?
Yeah. Really not dated. We were good friends. I was studying ballet at the Opera House.
What?
Oh, you didn't know that?
No.
Oh, yeah. And
you were a dancer? You never told me that, Lydia.
I know. There are a lot of things awesome. You don't know, John.
That's awesome, though.
And I was at the Opera House.
Uh-huh.
And his aunt and uncle ran the cafeteria at the Opera House. Mm-hmm. Good-looking boy. And the Americans had part of the Opera House using it, you know. Mm-hmm. So if I went to eat there, I had to have ration stamps. And he used to let me come through without ration stamps. I went to the circus with him a couple of times. Very casual dating, but that was about it. Yeah. Nothing serious, but a good-looking guy. But he was young. He was young, too. He was only about 17. It so happened we went to the circus one time, and then another time, a few months later, we again went to the circus. We went to a fair. And at the park where we live, had a outdoor swimming pool. We used to went there a couple of times, which you couldn't do too often in Germany because where we lived, it didn't get that warm. The water used to be like ice, you know. But just stuff like that, very casual, nothing serious. Yeah.
Let's see. Where are we at on this?
Family background. You got, Mama was a housewife. You know, you got that.
So your relationship with your mom, of course, when she came to live here, when she got older, was it good? Was it a good relationship? Were you close?
Yes. Well, I insisted that she come because she was getting old. She was by herself. Her only brother had passed away. Mm-hmm. All the immediate families that we had passed away, and it's been
moved away, and
few cousins and stuff. But that's about it, you know. You can only expect your friends to take care of you so long, and then it kind of fades. Yeah. So I went to Germany, and I went and got Mama, and she lived with us in Fayetteville. And first here and then afterwards here in Wilmington. Because in 73 is when my husband retired. And we came here to Wilmington. And that's when Mama was with me. And as a matter of fact, the old hospital here, what was the Doge Hospital? Mama was in that one time. Had to be admitted for perforated ulcer in her tummy. But other than that, Mama's health was very good. And even now, I am 80, going on 81. My health is great.
Yeah.
The only medicine I take is lisinopril, which is a low dosage.
Or is it for cholesterol? Or?
No cholesterol. a low dose blood pressure.
Okay.
And that happens. I think, like I told Dr. Hines, my blood pressure goes up and my grandson goes down. But that's about it. That's the only real serious medicine I'm on. And that's darn good for my age.
Yeah. You should see the list my mom had.
I have a friend that has a case like this. My millionaire friend, she's afraid to die, afraid she's going to leave it all. It's a case about this oval. It's a little overnight case. And it's full.
Yeah. I think sometimes in our society, people like to medicate everything.
Dr.
Even
Chen,
if they don't need to, they feel like they have to.
You said the magic word. When I brought mother from Germany, she was on medications. And I said, well, that's a hell of a note. How am I going to know what she's supposed to have? I took her to see the doctor, get her examined. And he looked at the medicines. He said, what the heck is she? He didn't say heck either. Dr. Chen, we knew him real well. He was a Shriner. He said, what in the hell is she doing with heart medicine? He said, her heart is better than mine.
Oh, my God.
And all kind of crap. You know, he said, forget it. He told me, he said, you know, our society has a tendency to over-medicate our people.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And he looked at me, he said, I think your mother's being over-medicated. She don't need all this stuff. And he gave me what he felt she needed.
And she was fine.
And she was doing fine.
Mm-hmm.
So that shows, you know. But I think that comes with the modernization that we have, with the times that we have. And see, there's some other things that, okay, that's family background.
Let's see.
Did I ever return home to live for any reason? Well, I didn't really go home.
Other than
being stationed with the military and then to visit.
Now, when you went over with your husband and you were stationed, how far were you from Stuttgart?
Oh, let's see.
Were you close enough to?
Well, it used to take me about 2.5 or 3 hours to drive it.
Oh, okay. Not
yeah,
too bad.
Close enough, yeah. And then Mama, of course, she would come and stay with me.
Now, you had kids by then?
I had the one.
You had Petra?
No, I had a boy, George Jr., Matthew.
Oh, he's older than Petra?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
We already talked about your siblings.
Mm-hmm. Did I go home to live for any reason? Only with the military. Let's see what we need to cover.
See, if you're married, we know that you and George were married in
1953.
Where did I write that down? No, I didn't. Moved to Wilmington in 53, and you married George in the same year?
Yeah.
In 53?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But you met him in Augusta.
Augusta, Georgia.
But he was in the military.
That's right.
The Air Force? Or
Army.
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 Okay. All right. And
he was a club manager.
A club manager? What is that?
NCO club. They have clubs for the officers and they've got clubs for the enlisted people.
Like a club to hang out.
Evening club.
Relax and.
Well, you go there to dance, have a few drinks, play slot
okay.
machines and stuff like that. That's what he did, and he would go and buy entertainment. They allow you so much money to buy a show or something, you know. Mm-hmm. He'd bring that and stuff like that.
And let's see. How did you meet him? We talked about that.
Well, I met him at a dance.
At a dance?
Naturally. Oh, he was a good dancer.
Well, you were a dancer too, right?
Well, yeah, but not his kind. I mean...
what kind of music was it? Big band back then? In the 40s?
Oh, yeah.
The big band? And
Glenn Miller, you know, okay. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
How far did they get in school?
Yeah, how far did you get into school?
I got a degree in English.
Okay. From?
I got it in Augusta, Georgia, what was the name of that academy? Richmond. It was a girls' school.
Oh, okay.
It was Richmond Academy. Richmond Academy.
First, it was all strictly girls.
Oh yeah. What was my first paid job?
The dime store.
Dime store.
Yeah.
What was the job that they did for the longest period of their work life? Well.
Would that have been your display?
No. That would be my map making, cartographic technician.
Met making?
Map.
Oh, Matt, that's right. Was it Rally where did you work?
No, I worked for the military.
Oh, that's right. What's that map company I was talking about? Rand McNally? That's what
Rand McNally.
So you worked for the military.
Mm-hmm. There was a company in Charlotte that would have loved for me to come. Mm-hmm. But I'd have lost my benefits. I'd have said, it ain't worth it.
Yeah. So map making, interesting.
Yeah, you take the photographs, and off of that, you measure and all that crap, and then put it onto an existing map. Mine was top secret stuff.
Really? Uh-huh. Now, how did you get into that?
With the military. I went to work for the military. No. He had nothing to do. I never did let him tell me where I work. I said, you don't tell me where to work. I was working as a display and advertising director at a department store in Fayetteville, high-class department store, owned by a Jewish fellow.
Yeah.
And this young girl, military wife, her husband had been attracted, he was an attorney, got drafted into the military for 2 years, She came in I guess it was about in October, June, July, maybe in June. Anyway, looking for a job, do illustrating. And we didn't have room really to have 2 illustrators, We were big, but not that big in advertising. And I talked with Rose Thompson's her name. I talked with Rose, and I said, Rose, I tell you what, give me your phone number. I'm going to talk with my boss about letting you help some. I said, would you take anything you could get in that field? She said, oh, yeah. So I told her I'd give you a call, and I did the next day. I'd been in the boss's office, big, fat Jewish fella. And I said, Mr. Stein, I said, we're getting ready to have the Papagella shack that we're introducing, Papagella shoes and handbags. It was in a corner of the store. And you want a big ad, you want to splash it. But I said, they don't have advertising material. I don't have time to do the sketches. Simple as that. He said, what do you propose? I said, well, I have this young lady. And he grinned when I said that. He said, you do what? I said, I talked to this young lady, and she would love, I think she could do us a good job on doing the sketches. He said, you decided that before you came in here, didn't you? So he told me to go ahead and plan for her to do some full-page ads for us. Take the shoes, sketch it, and the purse, and blah, blah, blah. And she did. I forgot, was it 3 or 4 pages that we used at different times. And she was so happy. She said, it's made me enough money for my husband and I to go home for Christmas. They were from New Jersey. And I told Mr. Stein, I said, you ought to feel proud of yourself. And he told me, he said, you had it all planned, Lydia. But anyway, Rose came back from the holidays. And she called me and said, I called her. I said, Rose, I might be able to get you to work with somebody to do some business cards. Can you do that? Sure. But she said, I don't know if I'll have time. I said, what's the matter? She said, I'm going to work at Fort Bragg. I said, Rose, what you going to do? She said, I'll be going to work at the Special Warfare School. Fantastic. Well, occasionally I would hear from her. One day she called me, she said, Lydia, I want you to come out here and turn your papers in. Come to work out here. She says, I'm getting ready. My husband's getting discharged. We're going back to New Jersey. Why don't you come on? I said, nah, then. I said, I don't think I would qualify, blah, blah, blah. All kind of excuses. She didn't leave me alone. I went, and lo and behold, I got the job. Of course, I think she had something to do with it, really.
Oh, yeah.
And,
I'm sure.
well, I think she really did. But anyway, I went to work there and stayed. And from there, from illustrator, we did slides for classroom education, like on evasion, if they got caught as a prisoner, how to plan evasion, how to plan to get away, and those kind of things, lesson plans. And that was for the Vietnam era. That was for the Vietnam era.
So you said you were an illustrator?
Mm-hmm.
So you can draw?
Yeah. My husband used to say I could draw flies, but anyway, I'd laugh at him. I said, that's more than you did. At least I was able to draw flies and pay off.
That's right.
So anyway, yes, sign painting. I worked for Special Warfare School, and then did the slides and stuff. And then I got promoted because I applied for it, where we painted signs and did silk screen work and everything for I've been for Army Training Aid Center up in Bragg. And from there, a guy came and wanted me to come to work for him. He had the press room that did all the printing for the Post. But I told him, I said, no, I don't think so. I'm going to Germany with my husband. Mm. But I helped another friend of mine get that job. So anyway, I came back, and they were not hiring. It was a freeze. And I was on leave of absence. I never quit leave of absence. And I went to work on a temporary basis at military intelligence. And the major liked some of the work I did, so they took what they call a secretary slot, and instead of filling it with a secretary, they filled it with me. They didn't know that when I became permanent, that my wages would go up over $2,000 a year, because they had to put me back at the wages I used to have. And they didn't know that. But the major said, you pulled one on me. But we got along good. I got my regular assignment back, working for military intelligence. And that's what I was doing when I quit.
Retired?
Well, no. Actually, I retired here in Wilmington from Corps of Engineers. What happened in 73 when George came to Wilmington, he worked for Tuesdays, the restaurant.
Yeah, I used to eat there. Yeah.
Well, he was manager there a long time.
Okay.
I should have seen you there before.
Well, I was little.
Well, anyway.
When I was young, we went.
I wouldn't move to Wilmington. I said, I'm not quitting my job. Had a beautiful home in Fayetteville. And his boss wanted to know when was I coming to Wilmington. And I told the buddy Gerald, I said, I'm not till I know I can transfer to the Corps of Engineers. He said, to do what? I said, whatever they need me for. It was about a few days later, he called me. He said, turn your paperwork in down here. I didn't know he had a friend that was a big shot at the Corps of Engineers. I took a job at the Corps of Engineers that had been vacant for over 2 years.
Wow.
You know why? Because they only hired on the buddy systems. That was so crooked. I mean, here I come along, suddenly I occupy that spot.
So they only hire people they know?
It's who you know, yeah. With the Corps of Engineers it was during that time, I know. I know that's what it was. Because Buddy Gerald is the one that made the arrangement with a friend of his that was at the Corps. So, but anyway, I went for the interview and he said, I got the interview lined down. But I had to sell myself, you know. And I got the job. And so I worked for the Corps of Engineers when I retired. I didn't work for them very long. Yeah. I've had quite a career, you know.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of things.
Did you, but when you went to, originally when you came to America, you wanted to teach, but did you ever teach?
No.
English?
No. I've helped some people with English that they're taking German in some of them high schools and stuff. You know, I'd help them if I could. But I never did go into the teaching because I looked around me and I said, God, these kids got too much freedom. In Germany, a teacher is respected like a doctor. It was so anyway. They respected you for the education you had.
It's not that way here.
I know.
That's
and
why I changed.
I saw that. They treat you here like you're trash.
You're not respected. You're not even guaranteed work the next year. If they don't like you, they let you go.
Well,
they lay off teachers all the time. They don't pay them well.
Yeah. See, that's one of the reasons I looked around and I was working my little jobs, and I looked around and saw how things were going for them. They were happy, free, go lucky, you know. But I said, boy, what's that going to do for them later in life? You know, they didn't take it serious.
Exactly.
And when I was the display and advertising director for Mr. Stein in Fayetteville, the upgraded, beautiful fashion store, I had 2 boys working for me on the school program. You know, they come in and work, and you grade them on it. I had 2 of them. And both of them fine young people. But they used to tell me what some of their buddies do. And I say, you gotta be kidding. One of them wound up going to work for the telephone company, cable something another. And I forgot what happened to the other one. I never did follow up on him. But I used to have to grade him on that, you know. And one day when the principal said to me, well, you know, I'm surprised he does so well on the job. And I said, why? He said, do you let them get by with things? I said, no. I said, when they're late, I make them stay late. And if something is not right, I don't say much. I just rip it apart and tell them to do it over. Don't mind a display or something. Hey, that looks tacky. Do it over. So anyway, that principal, I'll never forget that. He told me, he said, I wish you could do the same thing with them here in the classroom. I'll remember that as long as I live, John. In other words, if you turn in a bad-looking paper, the teacher is not allowed to destroy it in a classroom. You can't say much to them because the parents will come back at you. And I get so mad, and have done that for years. I hear them women talking, the teacher did this and the teacher did that. And I'd look and I'd say, what did you do? What did you do? What did your son do, or what did your daughter do? Well, you know, the usual. I said, that's it. You better talk with the child and find out what the hell got him in trouble to start with.
Yeah.
Right?
When I did some field observation, when I was in the education program, I had to go to an elementary school and observe. Okay. And I followed the classroom into a music trailer where they had music lesson. And there was, all the boys, for some reason, were just out of control.
Terrible.
The boys. And one boy got in trouble real bad, so the music teacher kept telling him to, be quiet, whatever. Well, he got to the point where he wouldn't shut up, so she was going to make him move over and sit in the corner. So instead of getting up and picking up his chair, he scooted it all the way across, making all kinds of noise. So then something happened with another student, and the boy stood up, picked up his chair, and threw it at the student.
Oh.
Then the fight broke out. Well, the teacher ran over trying to get them apart. Well, they pushed her against the window of the trailer. Her arm went through the glass window. And this was all my first day.
Oh my God.
No wonder I changed my major, right? So then I'm like, what? So I jumped up, and I didn't know if I should get involved or not, but my instinct was yes, I need to separate these kids. I'm strong enough to do it.
Mm-hmm.
One was a girl, one was a boy. It was a black girl and a white boy. And they were just, so I picked up the boy, and I bear hugged him, and I pulled him away and took him outside.
You were smart enough to take the boy instead of the girl.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I didn't want to.
The girl could have made all kind of accusations.
Well, yeah. I mean, it was 5th grade, so there were,
Especially if she was
10, 11, I don't know, what's 5th grade, 10 years old?
Well, hell, they lied just
But
as
yeah,
bad
I mean,
as
it's
the
not the
rest of them.
same. Teachers don't have any rights. They don't get paid. As far as, like, supplies,
That's
they
disgusting.
have to buy their own stuff.
That's disgusting.
It is disgusting.
That is disgusting.
Yeah.
Teaching materials.
Yeah.
What I couldn't understand is what's got me puzzled is why they get a work day. Well, I don't know why. They can't get the work done in the classroom because the kids don't behave.
Yeah.
Did you get any of it?
Yeah, it's still running. We've been talking for a while,
I
haven't we?
know.
All right.
We're not going where we're supposed to, are we?
We talked about your grandchildren. I met one of your grandchildren.
I've got 3.
Okay.
2 girls and a boy. Which
Okay.
one did you meet? The boy?
I met the boy.
That's Matt.
He was nice. He shook my hand and,
Well, I try to teach him that, but it doesn't always work. But I will say that I see people and they say, I saw Matt. They call him Matthew. I saw Matt the other day. He sure has grown tall, blah, blah, blah. I said, forget about the tall. How did he treat you? And they say, oh, he was very polite, very nice.
Yeah, he was polite to me.
So I told him, I said, son, you can do whatever you want to at home. But I said, when you leave a house, behave yourself. Yeah, you met him. Okay, the girl lives in South Carolina.
With your son.
Mm-hmm. And the other girl is a student here at downtown.
What? Okay. Didn't you have custody of her for a little while?
Mm-hmm.
How's?
I cannot have it because
What happened?
of my age.
Really? What?
Now that's the great-grandchild.
Oh, that's your grandson. That's Petra's. Is it Petra's
That's
son?
Matthew's baby. Yeah, it's Peter's son. Matthew is Peter's son.
Okay, but the girl that you were trying to get custody of is.
That's her.
Who is she? She's your great
She
granddaughter?
is. No, this is the great-grandchild. This girl here is the one that Daddy died.
That's right. I met her once. That's
Did
a
you
lot
meet
different.
her? Okay. This is her. She's doing exactly what I asked her to do. She was going to go to UNCW.
Awesome.
And I said, don't.
Oh.
You know why?
Why?
I said, the first 2 years, you don't know what in the hell you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So you go to Cape Fear Community College.
Oh yeah, that's what I did. Yeah.
And take your
There
basics.
you go. It's cheaper.
And then transfer it.
Exactly.
Even though her daddy left her well off. Oh, she's got her own car. She's never gone without a part-time job. Always had a
Always
part-time
work.
job.
That's good.
Yeah. So,
You were
that's
worried about her though, in
yes,
the
yes,
beginning
yes.
after he died.
Well, it broke my, here she is again. It broke my heart to start with that I couldn't. This is the one down in South Carolina.
That's George Jr.'s.
Mm-hmm. This is Matthew when he was small.
Yeah.
You talk about a spoiled brat he was. This was my husband.
Oh, let me see. He looks like Petra.
Oh, I'm telling you, it's like
He
one.
looks like Petra.
Except he ain't fat like she is. Here's the family. Can you believe that's Petra?
No.
Yes, it is. You talking about a good-looking girl?
Is that you?
Oh yeah, that's me.
Aww.
But that's her.
What happened? She looks totally like a different person.
2 failed marriages and drinking.
Mm.
I'll tell you. If it weren't for me, John, why do you think I'm staying where I'm at? I pay the damn rent and everything else. Excuse me, but that's just the way it is.
She's not working?
She works a couple of times a week at K&W.
The restaurant?
Yeah, in the back, in the kitchen. And she works a little bit with the lady down the street from me. She's 84 years old. That needs quite a bit of help. She went to nursing school. Twice we sent her there, and twice she came back home. The first time was because one of the people died in front of their eyes. They were young students, and the second time, because her girlfriend that was there with her quit, and from over in Chatham, she decided she didn't want to stay, so Peter didn't want to stay. And I've had a time with her, but her daddy, listen, she had stuff other children didn't. She had her own horse, had a car at the age of 16. And that was something back then for a girl to have a car that fast, you know. And just stuff like that. Her daddy gave her anything she wanted.
Now, when did George die? What year?
2002. October 2002.
When did her life start, you know?
Okay.
Was after her. So your husband never saw her at this point?
Yes.
Oh, he did?
I'd like to kill him. And then this here was my mama. That's Matthew again.
When was that? What year was that?
My mama.
What year was that?
Oh, I don't know.
She's young.
That's before she married.
Yeah.
I guess she was about 19, maybe 20. Yeah, but Petra was a good-looking girl. She wore, well, here she is again.
Wow.
And that used to be my dress. That's how little she was. She was a size 8. Just recently, this was a gorgeous aqua dress. I had bought it for one of the weddings of hers. Or her first wedding, I believe it was. I had 2 dresses for her first wedding. Yeah, this one I had bought for the dinner, for the groom's dinner for her first wedding. And it was gorgeous, aqua green. And I just recently, carried it over to the shelter for abused women. I carried a lot of clothes not long ago, just a short time ago. And this was one of them. And this was Matthew when he was a baby.
That's her only child? She only has one child?
No, Laura was hers. Laura. This one. Yeah, from her dad. Her daddy was not the same daddy as this.
Okay.
We've gone through hell with that girl.
Who's that?
Now, this is the one in Florence. Well, they now live at Cherry Grove.
Who's that handsome guy right there?
Oh, that's my son.
Right there?
In the Air Force.
Wow.
Yeah. See, I gave him an ultimatum. That's my husband again. I gave him an ultimatum when he graduated from high school. He was going to loaf for a while and do nothing. I said, you got a choice. You go to school and work part-time. Go to college and work part-time. Mm-hmm. Or get out of my way. So one day he came home. He said, I'm out of your way. I said, what for? He said, I've joined the Air Force. And he trained as a dental technician in the Air Force and retired from the Air Force.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. So he's got a nice income on retirement. Plus, he works for the hospital in Cheraw, South Carolina. That's all is in charge of all the materials that they use. That's the purchasing.
So when you told him that you gave him that ultimatum, you did that out of love.
Oh, yeah.
Because
I wouldn't have thought to let him loaf.
Yeah.
I said, and then to top it off, the college, the college he was going to go to was over in Pembroke. We lived in Fayetteville.
So it was close.
Yeah, it was close. The only other college was, at that time, I think, was the Black College on Murchison Road.
Okay.
And
so that means he still would have been he still probably would have stayed at home and drove to college, or
yeah, that'd be fine with me. Just go ahead, don't quit on me. Yeah. If you lay out a year, if you let them lay out a year, majority will not go back. I know. And I told him that. I said, you lay out, get out of my way. I said, you can go over to Pembroke, take a few courses. You don't have to do the whole shebang at one time. Just say you are going to school and you can keep your little part-time job. Mm-hmm. And he didn't want that. So I told him, I said, well, in that case, you're going to have to get out of my way. I told him, I said, I've always had to work for everything I've ever had. And I meant every word of it.
How is your relationship with him today?
Very good. Good. Yeah. See,
Are you proud of him?
Yes, I'm proud of what he's accomplished, except his wife is kind of, well, she is over-religious. Okay, a little over-religious. Even though when I go out with him for dinner, I'll look at him, I wink, I say, I'll have a glass of wine, he'll go ahead and order a beer. She won't. She thinks that's just terrible. And of course I smoke. That's terrible. I dance and carry on and have a good time. That's terrible, you know. She reads a lot. She gets up in the morning before going to work. Mm-hmm. She may not make the bed, but she's going to read her religious literature. That's her priority. I've never condemned her for that, but I do condemn her for not fixing dinner every evening. When I stayed with him, I fixed dinner every day and had it ready when they got home from work. And I told her just how I felt. I stayed with him. I lived with him for quite a while. I'd take care of everything around the house pretty well. Fixed dinner and had it on the table when they got home. The daughter was doing nothing. Getting out of bed at lunchtime and stuff like that, or just in time to get dressed to meet her mother for lunch. So one day I told her, I said, Susan, I'll tell you what. She asked me, she said, you're mad with me today? I said, yes, I am. She said, what's the matter? I said, I think y'all got your nerves to meet each other for lunch and not ask me to join you. I said, even though more than likely you know I would turn you down because you're mother and daughter, and I feel like you need that time together. But I said, it is wrong. Yeah. It is wrong to do that. And I said, I'm finally exploding because this has been going on long enough. It wasn't just once in a while during the week. It was every time you turn around. The mother was working downtown for the state, something for the state. And the daughter would go down and they'd go have lunch together. Didn't say, did you eat lunch today or nothing? So I told her, I said, one day I just thought I didn't explode. I just said, Susan, that's the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Miss Davis, we didn't realize that you would want to join us. I said, you would have realized it if you'd asked me.
She calls you Miss Davis.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So, I mean, you know, she's a good girl. I mean, she's not doing wrong or anything. It's just that, well, yeah,
Yeah.
too. She don't keep a good house at all.
All right.
I know
see.
you probably think I'm trouble to feel that way, but
No,
she doesn't.
Lydia.
She doesn't.
Lydia. There is nothing wrong with
Her daughter.
having opinions.
Her daughter, and I voiced my opinion. I'm bad about that. Her daughter, room. I'm not lying to you. You have to walk up close. She dumps her stuff wherever she is. Got books everywhere you look. She's got these. What kind of books would you call? What do I call them? I call them dream books.
Like dream, like.
It's like Greek mythology.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. Yeah. And she would like to be a dancer. She took dancing, but that wasn't good enough. She started college, and every time you turn around, she'd whine. And he would visit a college professor, and I told him one day, I said, that's the last thing you do, is visit the professor that's teaching your daughter. I said, you don't go tell him what to do.
Mm-mm. This isn't a high school. This isn't an elementary school.
Yeah. I mean, you know. And he thinks there's nothing like her.
Your son?
So, yeah. Which is great.
How old is she?
Kristen is now 23 years old.
My nephew is 23. And he's just, he's messed up too. You know, it's just a generation of, I don't know what's going on. I mean, I'm 47, and I've always worked. No matter what, if it was a minimum wage job, I worked. But these kids don't know what to do.
Okay. I tell you what's scary, and I've thought about this. With you doing this, relationship status, well, you know, my relationship. We've got all of that, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, let's see.
Why did I never getting married, entering committed relationship? No one, do they have children? If so, how many? Did they and their spouse partner plan ahead of time? As no, we didn't plan. Or did it just happen that way? Yes, it did.
It says, talk about your essay about
contraception and family planning. During our time, John, they were not emphasizing contraception and all that the way they do today.
Mm-hmm.
Really.
So how did you, well, I guess you only had 2 children.
2 children. He was gone a lot. And I stayed sober. I could say, hey, go to sleep. Really, I'm serious. Because I used to laugh and say, y'all got drunk when that happened. And a lot of times, that's what it is.
That's what it is.
Yeah. I used to tell him, I say, I stay busy and work, and by the time I go to bed, he's asleep. I'm so tired, I go to sleep and forget all about it. Education and work life, well, you know.
We talked about that. We talked about your job.
Did they serve in military? Well, you know that.
Let's see.
How has the military affected my choices and opportunities?
That's a good question for you.
Very good. My choices were the fact that to work for the U.S. government, it gave me pride to think that I made it from the country I was from to gaining the trust of this country to where I could get top secret clearance. That was something to be proud of.
Of course.
And the government offered the benefits that were offered by government employment. Are terrific.
Mm-hmm.
And to this day, The choices and opportunities. Well, I had opportunities of working for them while I was in Europe. You know, I never did resign. I always
Kept it open.
kept my status, yeah. Here is the one thing that I think is so important.
The pension.
The pension. Think back. Your mama is living off of Social Security, am I right?
Mm-hmm.
Strictly Social Security.
She just got approved for Medicaid.
Well, okay.
Just last week, but yes.
Mm-hmm. What can she do with that?
Nothing.
Survive.
Well, yeah.
Survive. I think the biggest thing I learned from what benefits I have, and I look around me and see what benefits I have, which is the federal retirement plus Social Security.
Mm-hmm.
I look around me and I say, how do they make it? Of course, most of them don't pay rent for the daughter and grandson and everything else, but how do they make it? I still live comfortable even though I do all that.
Mm-hmm.
When we were working and coming along, never have you heard before so much emphasis as to investing your money, save your money, retirement plans, this and that and this and that. Nobody in our age time realized what's happening in this country. See, when I came in this country in 1948, boy, they were living good. We didn't make big salaries, but the products were a heck of a lot cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
And we could have the best of times with less than we do now. And it's getting worse and worse.
Mm-hmm.
And less people in the future are going to be able to live off of their Social Security. If they don't stick away a nest egg somewhere, and if it's not done in a smart way, some cook will steal it from them. You see it every day where somebody's being took on something.
Yeah.
And so all I can say is God gave me the strength and the wisdom. And I've always said I'll never do without again. And I reached my goal. I could have left my government job and gone to Charlotte and gone to work for the mapping company there at a higher salary but no benefit. You know? Other except hospital insurance, which I could have bought on my own anyway.
Yeah.
I left the department store to go to work at Fort Bragg when Rose called me. I took a drop in salary to take that job, but increased the possibilities for the future.
Exactly. You took a risk, sort of.
Yeah, I took a risk, but I said it can't get worse than what it is. But it didn't. It got better. I got promoted and I made more money and, you know, had more time to spend with my family. Because when I was working in the department store, I handled all the displays and all the advertising. I had people doing things, but I had to be there to tell them this is what I want. And if I screwed up, it was my head.
Mm-hmm.
And like the first Christmas that I worked at that display, Jewish fellow, he had the girl to come to me the week of Christmas, and he said, Lydia, did you line up your crew? What time y'all gonna come in? I said, when? I said, line them up for what? I said, we've got everything going. I mean, we had a heavily decorated store. I said, everything is well taken care of. He said, I know, but he said, Christmas Day. I said, Christmas Day? What are you talking about, Mr. Stein? You're going to come in and take decorations down? I said, I don't think so.
Lord.
He said, well, you know, Christmas is over after Christmas Day. I said, it might be for you, but not for everybody. I said, I know you don't believe in it, but you sure are anxious to do the decorating and make the money. I laid it on him. And he told me, he said, you know, you talk to me a lot of times like you're not supposed to. But I told him, I said, Mr. Stein, my people will not work for you on Christmas Day. I said, one of them might if you offer them double salary. But I said, I won't be here. I'm not working Christmas Day.
No, you have a family.
And he told me, he said, well, I you know, I tried. I said, I know you tried, but I'm not going to do it. See, then the same man, when I went to work for him, when I was interviewed by him, the first interview with him, John, he was in this big overstuffed chair back there, fancy office, you know, and here I'm sitting, little peon, being interviewed. And we talked the hours and everything, benefits, discount in the store and all. And I said, the discount is good if you spend all your salary in the store. But I said, if I spend my salary someplace else, I don't get no discount. But anyway, Mr. Stein said to me how much he was going to pay me. I didn't say a word. I got up out of the chair. Now, this was a powerful man in Fayetteville. I didn't know that. Powerful man. He was on the board of trustees for First Citizens Bank and everything else. But anyway, he told me how much they were going to pay me. I didn't say a word. I took my purse. I'll remember it was sitting down here. I took it, I stood up. And this, Mr. Stein, was a pleasure meeting you. I'm sorry I wasted your time. You sure wasted mine. And out I went. And he used to tell in meetings, in management meetings where he'd say, I'll tell you something, if you don't want Lydia to tell you off, you better hang your mind. He told me, he said, I've never had a person in my office that had the nerve to do that to me. Anyway, I left. I went home. And then on the way home, I said, why in the heck did I do that? I could have took it for a little less. I said, no, I'm not going to do it. I'm not backing out.
What year was that?
In 1963.
Wow.
And guess what?
That was, what was the name of that store?
The capital of Fayetteville.
That was the name of the store?
Mm-hmm.
The capital.
The Capital Department Store on the main street in Fayetteville.
Mr. Stein.
Mr. Stein, Bernard Stein, and he has relatives here in Wilmington.
That's a good story.
I'm telling you.
That kind of like gives me an idea of what type of woman you were. Like, you know what I mean?
Oh, you'd be surprised, John.
I'm not surprised, really.
But anyway,
it's a good story.
I went home, and here I am. I make me a cup of coffee to simmer down, and I lit a cigarette. And I said, oh God, I really need that job. When long after that, my phone rang. It was Mr. Stein. He said, this is Mr. Stein. Could I speak with Mrs. Davis? I said, this is she. Hello, Mr. Stein. He said, you know, I talked with my son-in-law. And he said, we decided we need to talk again. And the way he said it, I said, well, did you talk with him? He said, I talked with my son-in-law, you know. Yeah. I said, did you talk with him or did you decide? He said, we feel like we would like for you to come in and talk with us again. And he said, how soon can you do that? I said, well, let me see. No, not tomorrow. And he said something another. I said, no, I've got an interview. And I had an interview about that for a job. Anyway, 2 days later, I gave in. I said, yes. I gave him a time and everything. I'll be happy to come back by. And I said, I hope you'll make it worth my while. I'll see you. Well, he always mentioned that in store meetings afterwards. So anyway, I went, and the son-in-law was sitting in there. The daughter met him at Fort Bragg. He was a draftee. He was not a wealthy Jew. They taught him everything he knew. And like he said one day, he said, this is the first time I ever had a silk suit on my back. The son-in-law did. But anyway, they talked. And he said to me, how much would you like? And I forgot what I told him. I told him, it was a fair.
At the time.
Mm-hmm. And he said, well, he said, we really need you, but I said, I'll tell you what I'll do, Mr. Stein. I said, I'll come to work at that price that you offered me. The offer he made then. Yeah. And I said, within 30 days, I'll automatically have an increase in my paycheck, or it means that I shouldn't come back. And the son-in-law looked at him, and he looked at the son-in-law, which means I was already asking for a raise. And I wasn't even on the job. And they agreed. I said, I didn't specify how much of an increase, but I said, if there's an increase in my paying bill,
that means you want me to stay.
That means you want me to stay. And I thought that was fair enough. Well, I had it after my first paycheck. Got 2 weeks. Every 2 weeks he paid. I got it on my second week paycheck. Sure did. I did what any normal person would do. But see, I also had to handle the budget. They allow so many dollars per department to advertise.
Mm-hmm.
If you had ready to wear, you might get $4,000 to spend that much on advertising. If you had the men's department, you might get a couple thousands a month to spend. And I had to take care of all that. And that's when he told the buyers, when they were in the meetings, to look out. Because a lot of times they would approach me and say, can you take dollars from so-and-so department and put it in my department? And he told me, he said, y'all look out, because she ain't going to bite her tongue. She'll tell you the way it is. And I always did.
Well, I think that it was that feistiness that you showed him is what he wanted as a manager to manage those departments. So
certain degree. I will say this, every year they've been to Europe twice, he and the wife. And every year before they left, when I was working for them, they always asked me, what can we bring you, Lydia? And I used to tease him, I said, bring me some good homemade liverwurst. And he would laugh and say, you know they won't let us bring no meat products. It's just true, But they always brought me a little something. If it was nothing but a nice box of chocolate or something, always brought me something. And that's saying a lot for a Jewish fellow. And he was on the committee that investigated concentration camps in Europe. Oh, he was a powerful man. Let me tell you what he did.
So he was from Europe as well?
No, Jewish.
Oh.
It all goes back, The Jewish people that's here still resent, and I don't blame them for what Hitler did to their forefathers. But just to show you how powerful he can be, George and I bought our first house in Fayetteville and had it built. And you know how when you move into a house from an apartment, all the stuff you need and all right. So in the office one day we were having a meeting. He and I were having a meeting over some of the advertising. And he said, by the way, Lydia, how you like your house? Love it, blah, blah, blah. He said, what do you need for it? Anything you need. I said, I tell you, I need a new refrigerator one of these days, which I eventually bought. But he said, draperies, bedspreads, just go and tell Bill, I said to pay it when you can. Bill was the comptroller.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at Mr. Stein. I said, you gotta be kidding. You're not gonna put me in debt so I have to work here if I don't want to. I knew what he was trying to do. You know, go wild.
Go wild.
Yeah. He told me, he said, you want to put carpeting, if you want to put it draperies. And
$20,000 later.
Yeah. And I said, Mr. Stein, you're not going to hook me to where I can't quit if I want to. But we did not buy central air for the house when we built it. We didn't feel like we wanted to finance it in and do it separate. Because a lot of people make the mistake of financing it in for the 20, 25 years that the loan goes. So anyway, the first summer, we thought we could do without, but it was terrible. And I was getting bronchitis a lot. And the doctor said it's from going into the hot show windows, into the air-conditioned store and all that, yeah. He said, you got to make plans to get air conditioning. So I told Mr. Stein, I said, I'm going to need, we're talking, and I said, he will know how was I feeling. I said, well, it's come down to this, Mr. Stein. He told me that I have got to go ahead and get air conditioning. He said, have you talked with Woody, what was his name? I said, no, I haven't talked with anybody. He said, have you shopped around? I said, not really yet, but I said, right now I'm wondering if my finances will hold out like that. He said, well, see what you want to do. Tell George. I said, hello, and see what y'all want to do. We'll see to it that you get that air conditioning. Again, because that way I wouldn't lay out sick, see. I was always a step ahead of him. So anyway, Woody, what was Woody's name? Bass or something. Air conditioning people. And they took care of the air conditioning at the store. So anyway, Sears had a sale on air conditioning installed. So I told Mr. Stein, I said, this is what Sears can do it for. He told me, he said, let him know, and he said, we'll get a loan for it. I'll take care of it, and we'll get a loan for it. So I told him, I said, this is what Sears has told me. He said, oh, that's much cheaper than Woody told me. He had talked with Woody. I didn't know that. So he said, we'll get it from Sears. But he said, we'll get the money from the bank. They'll give you a better deal. I said, I don't know. I've always had to pay interest no matter where I go like that. So he got on the phone. Somebody by the first name at First Citizen Bank. He said, I'm sending my girl over, Lydia. I want you to give her, I forgot what the amount was, X amount of dollars. She's going to get central air conditioning from Sears. Okay. I went over there, no papers to fill out, no nothing. Just a basic that I owe X amount of dollars. It didn't say how much I pay, when, where, or how, nothing. And the lady that fixed it up, she said, so you work for Mr. Stein? I said, yes. I said, you know, he's really nice to do this. She said, yeah, no interest, no nothing.
No interest? Wow.
No. So anyway, I went to Sears and gave him the money, put it in. And about a week, not even 10 days later, about a week, maybe 10 days, the dazzling thing in the month of August, the hottest time of the year, the compressor went out on it, a brand new unit. So Sears gave me that spill. It's going to be a couple of weeks before we get the compressor and all that. And that's when I learned to stand on my feet. I went into Sears. I said, I tell you what, you can tell your people I'll have a check to be picked up tomorrow from here and tell them to get that air conditioning out of my house. I'm getting ready to make arrangements to have another unit put in. I said, if they cannot take a compressor from a unit that's sitting in your warehouse or on display in your store and put it in my unit, I don't want it. And the man looked at me, he said, why are you upset? I said, listen, I put the damn thing in for summertime, not wintertime. I did tell him that. And I said, the man said he'll be 2 weeks. And he realized who I was. He recognized me. He said, don't you work for the Capitol? I said, yes, I do, and I'm hot under the collar. I said, not just hot in the house, but hot under the collar like that. And he laughed. He said, let me see what we can do, Miss Davis. So we got onto what they call a 3-way conversation on the phone. And whoever was at the other end didn't want to go ahead and let me have a compressor from one of the units that's sitting at the door. And I told him, I said, that's all right. Like I said, cut me a check and I'll pick up my money, get it out of my house and don't leave anything damaged. And I don't know what all I told. I was mad, John. Yeah. But honey, the next day my compressor was put in. I'm telling you, I was hot under the collar. But that's when I learned cash talks. Cash talks. It was not on a Sears account, you know.
Yeah.
And I had paid off the central air conditioner within 3 months. But Mr. Stein told me, he said, I don't know why you're in a hurry for it, you know, and to pay me. I said, I don't like to owe it. He got it off my back within 3 months. And he was quite surprised. But he got tickled, and I told him, you're not going to put me in debt, and I have to work for you, and I want to know.
I know, right?
John, I'm telling you, I've had a wonderful life.
It sounds like it.
And you can let it be known, emphasize in your report that Social Security is a wonderful thing. But I highly recommend everybody have a little extra.
All right. I'm 47. And I don't have a savings.
You don't necessarily need a savings account.
I'm self-employed, and I haven't paid into my taxes for a long time.
Oh.
I don't have a 401k. I don't have anything. What would you, at my age, what would you give me for advice?
Have you got life insurance?
No. I am talking to my State Farm guy about life insurance now.
Talk to Prudential.
Prudential?
I highly recommend Prudential. That's where my husband's insurance was.
All right.
They have investment plan. You can buy a life insurance at the same time, where you can borrow against it if you have to. But you're covered if anything happens. Right now, if anything happened, your mother wouldn't have the money to put you away, would she? She would have to sell your business.
Or my dad. My mom doesn't have the whereabouts to handle anything like that. So my dad would come if I
But
if I died or
he wouldn't know where to start, would he?
No.
Would your dad have the cash to put you away? No.
I don't know. I mean, it's not his place.
Okay, so who would put you away?
No one, I guess. I don't know what would happen.
See, that's what I'm mad with my grandson. I'm furious with him. I had a $25,000 policy on him that I bought years ago and paid into it, you know, with Prudential. Terrific policy. Where if I couldn't pay premiums anymore, premiums would be paid from the annuity that it has accrued.
Gotcha.
Okay?
Yeah.
So it would still be covering my life. Well, it was one I had on him. And when he was with that little whore that he was with, he knows how I feel about it. He knows. They needed money bad. No place to live. Her mother threw her out and all that crap, you know. I have to tell you that sometime what happened with them. Anyway, I sold the policy. I sold it back to Prudential. And they gave him cash money. I didn't know she was so heavy hooked on drugs like she is. She was heavy hooked on drugs. And he was spending a fortune on drugs for her. We I gave her, for her birthday, because I got tired of seeing her in the same rags, I gave her $50 to go out and buy her an outfit. Guess what she did with it? She bought drugs. So anyway.
This is Matthew? Or this was Matthew's?
My grandson's girlfriend.
Still together?
No. Let me tell you what I did. See, social service wouldn't let me have the baby because of age. My age. Believe it or not.
Matthew has a baby?
Yeah. Little old nigger whore. She had a black child too.
She has 2 children?
Yeah, she doesn't have either one of them. Matthew's baby, the little one that I showed you a picture, my great-grandchild, Haley, the precious thing, she'll be 3 years old. Anyway, December the 6th, she'll be 3 years old. When she was carrying that child, I did all I could. The mother would throw her out. She would have him staying with her. Then she'd throw her out in the middle of the night, pregnant, you name it. Many a night I gave up my bed to give to them too, and I'd go to the couch. And I always made sure that they had food to eat and everything. When the baby was born, I thought surely she might change. Well, I found out she had a little boy, which was a black child, but a pretty child. And he can't help for what adults do, okay?
Exactly.
Anyway, went to see them one day, and she took him by his neck and just threw him in his room. Literally threw him. When I saw that, right then and there, I formed my opinion. You know what I mean? So, when the little girl was born, I kept her for 6, maybe 8 weeks. Took care of her.
The baby.
The baby. The one I showed you the picture. Yeah. I had her right there in a porter crib next to my bed. And made sure that she was fed and taken care of and everything. Social service would not let me have her because of my age. They try it.
Yeah.
You know. So anyway, I talked with Matthew. I said, I'm going to tell you something. You're not supporting that baby. I put out $932 to get Drew out of jail for not supporting the child. He didn't have a job. $932 child support, they just collected him, threw him in jail. Which don't make sense, because how is he supposed to work? But anyway, I paid it. I said, I'm going to tell you, you're not going to mistreat that child. I saw that little flip of yours mistreat that other child till it's disgusting, and I'm going to tell social service something's going to be done. He said, well, you know, I'm getting ready. We're not living together anymore, and blah, 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 which was true. I said, you got tangled up with a little nigger whore. And he did. And I said, I'm not proud of it at all. But I said, neither one of them children can help for what's happened. There's that beautiful little girl, and there's that little boy, smart boy. He would just sit in a corner and not say a word. He has been so abused. That's what it was. So anyway, I voiced my opinion with social service. I talked to Matthew. I said, Matthew, I want that child adopted by a family that deserves it. And I said, I'm not going to be here forever to look after him. I said, as long as I'm living, I'll make sure she's treated right. But I said, what happens when I'm gone? I said, I cannot depend on you, and I cannot depend on Alyssa. I said, she's nothing but a little whore. He said, I know that, Nanny, I know that. I said, all right, let's sit down and talk. I said, either you want this child, and if you do, you pay that child support like it's supposed to be. But I don't want you paying child support to her mother where she can go out and get drugs with it. I said, I'm not going to stand for that. I said, I will talk with social service, I want you to have this child adopted out. They had already, then they were already in foster care, okay? They done took him away from her and put him in foster care. The baby and the little boy.
Already?
Back then, yeah, yeah. Now they're with adopted parents. Oh yeah, they're adopted out.
Both of them?
Yeah, I see them all.
With the same family?
Same family. A minister of music. I see him all the time.
That's
I pick
awesome.
up my phone, I say, Beverly, it's about time we get together. The mama. And she'll say, oh yeah, you want to meet at Chick-fil-A? Where are we going to meet? We meet wherever we want to. We have lunch with the children. They play.
The new parent, the new mom.
The new mama and daddy. The daddy comes too, oh Lord. He goes out and buys her some of the cutest outfits you ever enjoy. So, minister of music. They got a teenage daughter that has taught that little girl stuff you wouldn't believe. That
you single-handedly changed the fate of two children.
Oh yes.
Without you doing that,
it would have probably not happened.
It would have never happened.
But I sat down, I told Matthew, I said, Matthew, let me tell you something. Right now, I'm here, and I make sure that the children take care of. But I said, what's going to happen tomorrow or next year, and I'm not here. I said, I don't know about you. I said, I know about that little whore of yours. She showed to me what she can do. And I said, that little boy is black. But I said, he's a child of God. And I said, you are not. And he said, no, I don't like the way she treats him. I said, that's right. I said, the parents, the parents that have him right now, they were then just taking care of him.
Mm-hmm. So they were foster parents first?
Yeah. And fell in love with both the children. And
so what did the girl
she didn't have much choice.
I mean, I don't know why it keeps doing that. What happened?
The girl had to go ahead and she didn't have no say so over where the children go. They checked her out. And that little boy was pitiful, really. He was.
Is she black? She was black?
No, she's white. She's white. But like I told her, I said, I realized what kind of trash I was dealing with when I went over there to the house where you all were living, and you and my son had already, my grandson, had already separated, and you had the nerve to sleep in the other bedroom with the boyfriend, and him in one bedroom with the baby. I said, that told me what kind of slut you are.
And then to take the boy by his neck and throw him.
The way she threw him, I'll never forget that.
Yeah. She doesn't deserve. She needs to be fixed.
I'll see it.
She needs to be fixed.
Well, I
never have children again.
I said, if it weren't against law, that's what they would have to do. Mm-hmm. I said, frankly, I think every time you have one of them that shows up without a baby, without a husband, the second baby, you all need to fix them where they can't get pregnant anymore. I did. I told it in juvenile court downtown. That place on 3rd Street. Mm-hmm. Juvenile court. When the hearing was there, I told to that lawyer and to the judge, I said, Your Honor, I feel like she is not capable of looking after a child. And I'm sure there are a lot of them in this town that are not. But I said, I've seen what she's done. Mm-hmm. She actually should be fixed where she could never have another child.
Does Matthew ever see his daughter? Or?
Yeah. Oh,
he gets to see the daughter?
Oh, yeah, he goes for lunch with us.
Oh, that's nice.
We always arrange it where all of us can be together.
Now, does the daughter know that he's the dad?
Yeah, okay.
Or?
The adoptive parents told me, Beverly, and her husband Ron told me, we don't want the children to go up trying to wonder who is my mama and daddy. She said, I want them to know who their mama and their daddy is. Mm-hmm. And that way they won't have to go around in 10, 15 years from now and wonder who is my mama or who is my daddy. And she says, I'd like for them to be involved. I said, well, I'm not so very fond of the mama being involved.
Mm-hmm.
She knows. But I said, I would like to see my grandson involved. But I said, if he ever shows that he's not interested, please do not force that child to see him. And I asked him, was it yesterday or the day before? I said, Haley's going to be 3 years old on December the 6th. Have you given it a thought what you're going to give her for her birthday? He said, not really. I said, I don't want it to be some stupid little dress or coat or something. I want it to be something that she can look at and say, my daddy gave me that when I was a little girl. He said, what would you do, Nanny? I said, you can get her a beautiful bracelet. You can get her a beautiful necklace if the parents approve. I said, but ask Bill and them first if they approve for her to have a nice necklace. I told him, I said, you could get her a little cross with her initials in it. And I'm sure they won't, object to that.
Yeah.
But she does homeschooling. Her teenage daughter is homeschooled, and you can tell. And piano, music, violin, no matter what.
Music. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you come from you personally are a very creative person.
Yeah.
All your jobs.
Yeah, I just made $20 yesterday, John.
Doing what? Being creative?
Yeah, the neighbor down the street. She wanted her Halloween fixed up. I didn't charge her. She insisted, yeah. I did the wreath for her door and did another arrangement she has hanging by the light and another one, a big one for a wall. They were basically there, but they had to be refixed. Mm-hmm. And I did that for her, and I didn't give it no second thought. Sure, I'll go ahead and fix it. She's not able to do it. And I fixed it, and we went down there, we hung the stuff up, and she liked being crazy. And when she was in the nursing home, I made a little arrangement in a little vase for her. First with fresh cut flowers from the yard, and then as I didn't have too many nice ones, I fixed it up with artificial flowers, and then I turned around and fixed it up for Halloween for her, with the little berries and witches and things, little vase. And she had that sitting in the living room, and she said, everybody wants to know where did I get it from? I said, did you tell him the woman up the road, somewhere up the road, trying to throw it together? And she said, no, I didn't tell him that. But anyway, she insisted I take $20.
Well, you don't want to insult her by not taking it. But...
I know, but okay.
So retirement, pension, we talked about that, Social Security. What advice would they give? Would you give young people today about planning your retirement? We kind of talked about that.
You cannot. Just look at government today. You cannot depend on your government.
It's so wishy-washy.
You cannot depend on your government to be able and help you when you get up in age. Mm-hmm. You definitely cannot depend on your children. Mm-hmm. Or can you?
It depends.
How many children?
Like my mom, I'm taking care of my mom, and she depends on me.
It's a hardship. It's a
hardship, but I have to do it because it's the right thing to do.
Okay, but you want to emphasize, you don't want to put your parents in a hardship.
No, I don't. I don't want my mom to suffer.
Yeah, but on the same token, it's a hardship for you to try to. So therefore, you feel it's very important that they start putting pennies aside and think about the future.
Yeah. Do you know how hard it was for me to get her approved for Medicaid?
Oh, I can imagine.
I didn't think she was going to get it. I really didn't. It's so hard to get it.
She should.
She only makes $500 a month on Social Security.
Oh my God.
That's half of what my dad's Social Security is. because she only draws that because she was married to him for 42 years. She didn't work enough because she was a stay-at-home mom.
Okay.
And my dad, she worked in the laundromats with my dad. My dad never paid taxes.
Okay, there is a prime example
of why I should start paying taxes on myself.
Not necessarily the taxes.
Just putting away.
Put it where it's invested. Prudential has a good investment plan. Mm-hmm. That's where I had mine.
That's where my dad has his.
Oh, has he?
Life insurance. Yeah.
Well, not only that, I'm talking about investment. Mm-hmm. Prudential is terrific. I was really doing good with him till I threw a lot of money out to keep Matthew out of trouble. Mm-hmm. I mean, you know.
But it's scary because I'm 47 and I'm getting up to that point where I'm going to be 50. And then retirement isn't that far.
I told my daughter the other day, she's 53. I said, what in the hell have you got?
What is she going to do when you're gone? What will happen to her?
I don't know. I don't know, John.
Will Matthew step up and help her?
He hates his mother.
Really?
Because you see, Matthew's been living with my husband and myself since he was a little bitty fella.
What?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. His dad wasn't going to pay child support. He worked for DuPont. I showed his butt. He withheld child support. I went over to where child support is located. Mm-hmm. And told him what was going on. And she said, since you know where he works and where he lives and everything, she says, we'll have it for you within a few days. And about a few days later, he called me and wanted to know, if I bring you the cash money tonight, will you take it? I said, I don't think so. Because they were threatening to take him to court, see, and he didn't want that. He was already three months behind. I said, I don't think so.
He didn't want it taken out of his check. Right?
No.
Is that why?
No. He had the money. He was just being an... So anyway, he said, I'll bring it to you, not even a check, I'll bring you cash. I'll go get cash from the credit union. I said, no, I'm not ready quite yet to settle this. I said, it's been a hardship for George and I to keep this child going for you.
Well, yeah, let him know that, even though it wasn't.
But anyway.
He needs to know that, yeah.
My phone rang several times that evening. The next day, he must have been at work all day long hanging on the phone trying to get me. Anyway, late that evening, I said, all right, come by and bring me cash and don't ever let it happen again. He came and brought me every bit of it in cash. And
it sounds like you have kept your family
together,
and
I have.
You've been the one that has been like the giver. Give. Has anybody given back to you? Like your son George Jr. He's good to you, right?
Oh yeah, but I've never asked him for anything. Never.
But you don't have to, right?
No, but I got hurt to a certain degree. All my fine furniture was in storage in South Carolina. He and his wife took it out and used it.
Without you?
Without my permission.
They're still using it now?
Well, they went, let's see, I gave them one couch. I had given them one couch. Mm-hmm. That was in the den upstairs. And the coffee table and the two end tables for that, I have now at the house where my daughter is. The oak table. Mm-hmm. But anyway, they went through that couch. Then they took the formal couch that was in my living room and the formal love seat. They've ruined it. Plus a chair. They're in the trash now. So they've gone through 2 couches, a love seat, and a beautiful overstuffed chair. Plus, you know those those chair lifts.
Mhm.
If a patient can't stand it,
It pushes them out.
yeah, $1,000 chair, 900 some odd dollar. I gave him that when my husband died. I said, honey, you will love this. Come home from work and, you know. I don't know what they did with that. But I gave it to him. I
Yeah.
could have sold it. Somebody wanted to
Well,
buy
they
it for
might
me.
have sold it.
Somebody wanted to buy it for me, and I said, no, I'm going to let my son have it.
Well, I thought you said that he was comfortable
Oh, he's,
money-wise.
oh, yeah,
So
yeah.
why would they want to use your furniture?
Keep their money safe, I guess, you know. And they, see, she don't like to cook. They go out and eat a lot. Oh, God. When I was down there, I told him, I said, every Saturday and Sunday for breakfast, $15, $20. I mean, 4 of us going for breakfast, $20 was nothing. And a lot of times I paid it, and I told him, I said, I'm fed up with that. And I would go visit them, and I'd take them out for dinner, and I'd wind up paying it. You know, that gets old.
Mm-hmm.
Always you doing that.
Yeah.
And, they took my furniture and everything. Even my everyday dishes that I was using, the cookware and everything, I saw it in her kitchen, and I thought, what the hell, you know.
Why
And
don't you? Why don't?
I asked her,
Why don't you go get it? Can't you go get your stuff and bring it back?
I don't need it where I'm at. Paintings, beautiful. You saw that black lab, the Labrador picture hanging over the couch.
I don't think I did.
It's a watercolor print. It's a print of a watercolor. It's called The Great Escape. 4 lab puppies that used to hang in my den.
It's original.
Yeah, well, it's numbered. It's a numbered
Oh,
print.
okay.
I bought it for my husband at an auction at the Shrine Club. They had an auction, and I bought it for him because he loved it, and we had it always in our den. But I have, let's see, 2 large oil paintings, three large oil paintings, and several smaller ones at my son's. Original oils, gorgeous. One of them is.
What?
One of them is you sit back and you look at it, and it takes you right into a misty forest. You know, one of these. You look at that, and you actually can fall asleep, relaxing. And the way it is, the paint for the tree on there, the main trees, is caked on it. It took several days to dry before they could even do more and more to it. You've seen it. It looks like the real bark on it.
Yeah.
But it's paint. We bought it in Germany. And
you need to get your stuff.
Let them fight over it.
What makes you not want to be in your own place with peace and quiet?
Okay. I had a gorgeous townhouse over at Governor Square.
Here in Wilmington.
Downstairs living room and dining room and the kitchen and half a bath with laundry room. A huge living room, beautiful. And upstairs, 3 bedrooms and 2 baths. 1 bedroom I had made into a sitting room, my den like. I had my sewing machine in there and everything, all of that stuff. In my former living room, of course, downstairs. And I had the patio was closed in, and it was beautiful. All right. Every time I turned around, either Petra and her boyfriend would come and pile in on me because they got evicted somewhere, or Matthew would come and, I want to stay with you for a while, Nanny. You know, it was in and out, and I got fed up with it. I said, well, the heck with that. And I let my son talk me into moving down there. Well, I wasn't all that happy in South Carolina because, like I said, I felt left out.
Yeah.
I felt that she didn't want anybody in the house with her, but didn't have the nerve to say so. So I just put my stuff in storage. Well, next thing you know, I was planning on getting me another one-bedroom apartment.
Here.
Small setup, yeah.
Back here.
Yeah. And Peter Andrews and her boyfriend were going to be evicted where they stayed.
Is this the guy that drank a lot too?
No.
A truck driver?
Drugs.
Was he a truck driver?
Construction.
Because I met one of her boyfriends at the laundromat.
Big heavy guy. Mm-hmm. He was construction.
Is she still with him?
No. I broke that up. Oh, he called me. You know what he told me?
What?
I threw him out the house. He said I was a damn German Nazi bitch. He sure did. I almost took him to court.
He doesn't even understand what he said.
But well,
that's the
I consider
ignorance.
that.
It's just ignorance.
Well, that's what I said.
Yeah.
But anyway, what happened? She'd been with him for over 10 years, off and on. Get thrown out. Mm-hmm. He never would pay rent. What happened? She was being evicted out of a trailer. And I went and talked with the lady. I said, if I give you the money right now, I said, I guarantee you, he will be gone, but I need to find a place to settle her. I can't, just like that, move out the trailer. But I got in a hurry, and that's when I went to the Pines and rented an apartment at the Pines. And it wasn't bad because we were up front in the office building. It was fixed up very special, you know what I mean?
And that's when I met you.
That's right.
Because I was close.
And that's right. And I didn't like the place. The place would have, I probably would have stayed longer if it had wash and dryer connection, but it didn't.
Yeah.
But then he was there and only paying when he wanted to, okay? So every time when it was time to pay rent, he disappeared a few days and do his drug thing. $400 or $500 in one night. So and I kept telling him, I said, you're going to be gone before you know it. I'm tired of paying the rent in this place, plus everything else. Yeah. I said, I'm holding the place together. I'm fed up with it. So anyway, in last September a year ago, he was gone. He was gone part of August. And end of August came, and it was time to pay rent for September. He didn't come until September the 6th. He showed up. 6 or 7. It was the 7th, by golly. Anyway, he showed up, and I said, you're not coming in. I said, you don't pay rent, you don't get in here. Simple as that. The place was in my name. Yeah. It's leased in my name.
Oh, yeah.
I'm smart enough to do that. I'm smart enough to do that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't buy not paying rent and be thrown out. Mm-hmm. So one word led to another. Call the police.
You did?
I did. Mm-hmm. And that's not when he called me. The German bitch. I wish he'd done it right then and there. I'd have had him arrested right then. But I don't like courtrooms. So anyway, the police came. He spit on my kitchen window and he spit in my face, the pig. And called me all kind of choice names before they got there. When they got there, he quieted down real fast. And I told him what it is. I said, he knows rent is got to be paid on the first of the month. I said, he hasn't paid rent in I don't know when. Everywhere he ever lived, they've been evicted. And I said, I'm tired of it. I'm not working or saving my pennies or what have you. I said, I have never in my life supported a man, and I don't intend to do so now. Told the policeman that. And he kind of grinned. It was 2 policemen. And I said, I want him out of here. And of course, the first thing they wanted to know, who's got the lease?
Yeah.
I said, now, ain't that something? I'm the one that has the lease. And one policeman said to him, said, well, you ain't got much choice, have you? And he said, well, then I want some of my clothes. I said, the sooner you get your stuff out of here, the better off we are. I need the room. I said, I need to bring my clothes. I need the room. And the policeman gave him, this was on the 7th, he gave him until, I believe, about the middle of the month or something, to come and get his belongings. He didn't. He got some stuff that night and didn't have a box or anything to put it in, you know, except his truck. So he took the drawers from the piece of furniture that the underwear was stacked in and the socks and stuff, and put them in the car. And he said he'd be back and bring it back, and he'd pick the rest of his stuff up. Well, he had never came back.
Was it his furniture? Or was it your furniture?
No, it was some of it hers.
Okay.
Some of it, well, some of it like, okay, the china hutch my mother bought her for a wedding gift. The table and the chairs we had bought. The furniture in the front bedroom is furniture that was hers that I had bought. The furniture in her bedroom she had bought. He really has not, technically, not bought no furniture. He's never bought furniture. Like I said, he would go in one night and spend $300, $400, $500.
That's drugs. Drugs will do that.
Yeah. So anyway, we got rid of him first, like, and that's when he made that statement. And he told somebody in Wallace, he said, Petra's mother is nothing but a damn German Nazi bitch. And I told him, the people that told me he said that, I said, tell him hello for me, and that he is so stupid he don't even know what a Nazi is. Most people don't. They don't know how to interpret that, do they?
Not really. I mean,
it's like a Democratic Party or a Republican Party. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Except it was
it's a party.
It's a vicious thing, you know. But most people don't even know enough about it to discuss it. How much more we need, John?
It says the next section is interests and social support. Like, do you volunteer anywhere? Your hobbies.
My hobbies is gardening, sewing, knitting, crocheting, painting, wallpaper. You name it. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
I don't volunteer. Good God, you can only run so many places.
I think you do enough helping your own family. So.
Well, you know, I gotta help my millionaire friend. I can't let her down, do I? No, I'm just kidding.
Let's see. Are you active in church?
Yes, go to church.
What is your denomination?
Baptist.
Baptist?
Baptist.
Really?
I was
How
Lutheran.
did that happen?
I was Lutheran. Germany, we were Lutheran.
Uh-huh.
And my husband, Baptist.
Okay.
And they say the family that prays together stays together, you know, so I took the better part. No, Baptist. I used to sing in the choir, and I used to teach Sunday school. Can you believe that? I used to teach little 5-year-olds. And they'll tell you everything God forbid them to tell.
Let's see.
I'll never forget, I had these little twin boys. Their daddy had been overseas.
Uh-huh.
And that was after we moved back to Wilmington. In fact, that was back in the early 70s. Anyway, and I had them in Sunday school, and Sunday morning they kept looking out the window, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I told them, I said, it's time to say, well, we want to see if we see Daddy. And one of them said, you know, my daddy came home from the war. I said, yeah, we know, we heard. And the other one said, yeah. Did you tell them that Mom and Daddy locked their door? I said, Bob, so how do you react real fast to the kids, you know?
Yeah.
I said, that shows that they like to have a little privacy and trying to tell you kids to go to bed and behave. I said, when I don't want to see my children, I lock my door. And they thought that was acceptable to them. But that was so funny the way they said that.
They just didn't know.
Yeah. But then one of them says, yeah, did you tell them to lock their bedroom door? They caught me off guard.
Let's see.
I think we've covered.
Let's see. You talked about your family. Do you feel comfortable providing support? Do you feel comfortable providing support or asking for support? So we already know that you don't receive support from any of your family members.
No,
you give support.
I have too much pride for that.
Yeah.
I would rather starve than ask a family member to give me something.
But you worked for it, so you should feel.
I'm taken care of. Yes. Mm-hmm. But
you planned for it. Your children.
You see, when I married, I thought I'd have that man in my life the rest of my life. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You don't think that he is going to die 10, 15 years before you do. You're young, you're able, you're feeling good. You don't realize he's going to get Parkinson's and you have him for 14 years in a wheelchair. Do you? Mm-hmm. You don't think about those things. I just don't think I could ever ask my family for anything. I have too much pride for that. I've always been taught you're supposed to, whatever you get, you're supposed to earn it.
So what makes you, why do you give so much? Why do you help so much?
I guess it's because I've seen suffering. I've seen suffering. And I feel like if I can do but just a little bit, it'll make it that much easier for that person. You know what I'm doing right now, John?
What?
Which reminds me, I owe you a scarf.
You already gave me one.
I know, but I was going to make you one to go with brown. Remember?
Yeah.
I'm making real pretty scarves right now, some for ladies. One of them is for the nurse that helped Petra get the paperwork done to send Matthew up to Duke, to Chapel Hill. All that paperwork she done, I made her a scarf. I got it ready to give it to him.
What's wrong with Matthew?
He's got hepatitis.
From drugs?
Yeah. Dirty needles. He's got hepatitis. But we've got it going now. And the lady that did, which is the cutest black lady I've ever seen, I made her a beautiful white scarf. Mm-hmm. I figured she'll appreciate that, you know. And I made some potholders for one of the neighbors to give to them for Christmas. And I've got 2 more scarves ready. Okay, one goes to the girl that did the paperwork, and the other one goes to the vet. She spent 2 hours with me with Shaggy and wouldn't charge me for it. Yeah. I think I told you.
Yeah, you did.
So I'm giving one scarf to her. And just different people like that I'm making things for. So, but I spent $30,000 on Matthew with one lawyer. I told one lawyer here in town, he is married now, but I told him then, I said, well, that buys you a little bit of your house that you want. Sure did. That's not counting all the other money I put out on that boy.
What was the lawyer for? Like trouble with
Drug,
the law?
drug. trouble with the drugs. You know what? A lot of people wouldn't understand. You would. You know what Hitler would have done if that started with him? Drugs. Guess what he would have done?
Capitalized on it?
He wouldn't have given none of them a chance. He'd have lined them up against the wall and shot them faster than he could collect them.
You mean the people that used drugs?
Especially the dealers and all, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Not so specifically the users. Because the users are innocent victims. Really. See, I'm a smoker.
Mm-hmm.
I've cut way back, but I'm a smoker. I could go out right now and innocently accept a cigarette from an acquaintance, not knowing that it's a fixed cigarette.
A fake one?
No, fixed with drugs.
Oh, yeah.
You smoke it,
Yeah.
and you're hooked.
Yeah.
You say, that was good. Gotta have another one like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, I consider the user of drugs a victim. If that had happened during Hitler's time, and I don't take sides with Hitler, don't get me wrong, but he would have lined the dealers up. They'd have never had a chance to come across the borders the way they do with us and shoot our agents, border agents and stuff. They'd have never been able to do it because the first one he would catch, he would have them against the wall without much trial. And, you know, the Bible tells you we're going to destroy ourselves, and we are. I told somebody the other day, I said, don't worry. The Lord don't have to worry about destroying this earth when all that was going on with Sandy, that storm, right? I said, he don't have to worry about destroying us. We're going to destroy ourselves. And we are.
Yeah. Humanity.
What else you need, John?
Let's see, we're at the end here.
Well, you know where I'm at if you need something, don't you?
Beliefs and attitudes about things have changed. If you could go back and change something about the way you lived your life, what would it be?
Oh my God. What would I change?
It's hard. It's a hard question.
Really not very much. Because I feel like I've been fortunate, I've been blessed. John, I have so many friends in this town. And the top it of a bunch of our creeks. I mean, they have restaurants.
Mm-hmm.
I could right now walk in just about any of them and say, I'm hungry, I'm so hungry. Sit down and get a meal. Never pay. You know what I mean? I really don't know what I would change, John.
Well, if you can't think of anything that you would have to change, that's good. Yeah.
Well, right now, what would I change? I need a haircut.
You don't. Let's see.
No, all the things that I have done. I have a saying by Gertie that tells you that you should like the things that you're able to do. Enjoy them. Not resent it. I never have resented anything that I've been asked to do. I've always tried to do it. If I'm not able to do it, then I give up. But I first try to do it. And I really don't know what I would change.
Maybe other people. Maybe you would want to change the attitudes of other people.
Oh, I'd love to change that. I'd love to change them brats that's going to school today. You know, with their pants hanging down to the kneecaps. I told Matthew I'm going to buy him some...
Is that who you quoted, Gertie? Who did you quote?
Goethe.
Did I spell it?
Goethe.
Okay.
That's a German.
And that's a quote or like a poem? Was it a
I
poem?
have it at the house.
If I look it up on the internet, I bet I can find it.
It's not liking the things you have to do. Wait a minute, no. It's not but liking the things you have to do that makes life pleasant. It's not just liking the things you like to do, you know, but liking the things you have to do that makes life pleasant, something like that.
Okay. I'll look it
I
up.
used to have it hanging in my thing in Lansdowne.
One more question. What is the most important thing that you want other people to remember about you when you're gone?
That I've always tried to be fair with everybody, good to them, you know. Of course, they say that about everybody that's once they're stretched out.
Mm-hmm.
Poor thing. Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
They come gawking. Don't she look good? You ever seen a dead person looking good?
Not really.
That's like that.
They've seen better days, huh?
That's like that black man standing at the funeral of a black man that had requested to be buried in his Cadillac. Okay. And he remarks to the other black man, he says, "Man, that's life." The dead man is being buried in his Cadillac.
Jesus.
That's life.
That's life. That's something. That's something. I think we covered everything.
No, I just like to be remembered as and try to be fair with everybody, and you know, gotta get my library card out.
I just hope that the people that you help appreciate you.
You know, John.
I hope your daughter knows what you give her.
She can be very unfair. Very unfair. She can be very ugly.
Well, she's gonna have a rude awakening when you're not there to take care of her.
You know? She
needs to work. She's not old.
No, she's not.
She's young enough to turn herself around, you know. But
she should have done that long ago.
Yeah.
I mean,
but you do good, Lydia.
I try,
you really
John.
do.
I try.
I know I don't know you all that well, but I know.
I've been screwed out of money so many times.
Oh.
Where somebody comes to me and they poor mouth, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I say, well, here, I'll help you. And that's the last.
I hope that people don't take advantage of you.
No, they've been taking advantage of me, but not no more. I stand on my feet now. I said, no. I mean, I had one of them come up to me the other day. I was sitting on a bench somewhere smoking, park bench, I guess. Wanting a cigarette, and I said, "Oh, please, I'm out of stock." You know what OPs are? Other people's cigarettes. We call them OPs. I looked at the man, I said, you know, I was told if you can't afford something, don't do it. That's ugly, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
If you can't afford it, don't do it.
Well, I think we have